Hello and welcome to the Jason Eldridge Photo Show. In this video, we're going to take a look at Lightroom Classic's new Generative Remove tool. It works just like this. All right, here we are in Lightroom Classic. The first thing I want to talk about with the Generative AI Remove tool is that it's in early access. That means the tool that we're using is not the tool that we're going to get. It is an approximation of that tool. They're basically using us to make the tool better. So congratulations, you're an unpaid beta tester. All right, let's go to the Develop module. And you'll notice right here, instead of a Band-Aid, we have an eraser tool. What a change. All right, click that. And yes, you still have the Band-Aid for the heel and you have the clone stamp tool, but you also have that eraser. Now, generative AI has to have the internet in order to work. If you don't have the internet, this will be grayed out or it won't function. So if you have the internet, it takes your image and it looks at what you select and it sends it somewhere, and some really smart people made something and it does its magic and it sends it back and then it processes it on your computer. So no internet, no generative AI. You've got the size and the opacity. Just like a lot of the other tools, you can use your mouse wheel to change the size of the brush. So we're going to do something simple first. And we're just going to remove the rock. Let's see how that does. Apply. This doesn't take too terribly long. If you do more than one object at a time, it is incredibly slow. So even if it's a larger object, just do one at a time. If you have a lot of small ones like dust spots to remove, just use the heel brush or the heel that you did before, or the clone stamp. Those work great for that. But if you've got something that's a little tricky that you would normally have to go into Photoshop and then come back to Lightroom, well, generative AI for Lightroom can actually keep you from having to do that. And it's cool. But anyway, let's look. It did a really good job of getting rid of that rock. What about something bigger like this dead sagebrush right here? Well, we're going to go back in. And here's what's neat is, let's say you want to make the brush small, but you don't want to spend 30 minutes trying to paint this entire thing out. You can stop, change your brush size, and get back to painting. So that's pretty cool. I like that option. And then you can change it again, go smaller. There we go. That gives it a good crop to pull from. And now we're going to hit apply. Let's see how it does. You know, they say silence on video is terrible. But is it worse than me just rambling on, talking to strangers on the internet about nothing whatsoever? You decide which one is worse. There we go. I think that did a pretty good job. But here's what's cool. If you don't like that, over here on the right, you have variations. You have 3 options. Click that one. I like that one better. And you've got that one. I don't like that one. So the second one is the one I like. But let's say you don't like any of them. You can hit refresh and it'll redo the whole thing and you'll get 3 different options. So you can keep doing that over and over until you kind of get what you want. Me, I kind of like that. We're good. So what I did discover is, let's say you do something like this. You want rid of that, and then you want rid of this, and you want rid of this, and you want this, and you hate flowers. So you get rid of these little yellow flowers because you don't like them, because you're an evil person. You don't like flowers. All right. So then you hit apply. This takes absolutely forever. Now, it is much smaller as far as the entire scene. It's much smaller than the dead sagebrush that we just removed. But this will take 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. It takes a very long time, and I'm not going to make you watch that. So if you have a lot of little stuff, then do it with a heel brush. If you feel like you need to do this with generative AI, maybe do one at a time or a couple at a time. But if you do something like this, it's going to take forever. You can see that it's really barely moving, so it does take a long time. I'm going to cancel that. You shouldn't have to deal with that. Cancel, everything goes away. But let's say that you do a couple of them, and you are willing to wait. Well, when you hit apply, what's neat is it gives you a little node, like it does for these others that we've already done. Let me show you what that is. You can barely see it, but right here, see where it turned the little red hand? And then up here where I removed that rock, you can see it right there. Well, that means you can go back to any of these and delete it or change your variation. So even when you do like one here and one over here and one here, you end up with those 3 options. So you can go into each individual one if you don't like what it did. All right, so let's try something else. We're going to look at this image. Let's just say that you don't like the barn and that kind of stuff here at the bottom, and you want to remove all of the man-made stuff. So you can do that pretty quick. You can just grab it all. Now imagine in a previous life, you would have to go into Photoshop to do all of this. And the generative AI remove there has been pretty good for a while, the content aware and all that kind of stuff. But now you can do a lot of this that you could never do in Lightroom. You can do it now. Let's get rid of that one. And we're going to say apply. All right, and here we are. It did a pretty good job of getting rid of that. Let's check the variations to see what other options we have. I actually like number 2 a little better. And number 3, I think, is the winner. So we'll just leave it there. And look at that. It got rid of everything that we told it to get rid of. That's pretty awesome. And we don't have to go into Photoshop to do that anymore. It can take a little while, like I said, if you do multiple objects. So just do one at a time. If it's little stuff, just use the heel brush. So my final thoughts on this. It is a great tool addition to Lightroom Classic. I would love to see something like focus stacking added to Lightroom Classic, but this is one more step closer to not having to go into Photoshop for the heavy lifting. The heavy lifting can be done a lot more in Lightroom Classic now than it ever could before. And that saves you time and hassle and movement from one program to another. And I like it. So what do you think? Leave comments below. Let me know what you think about the generative AI remove tool. Are you going to find a use for it? Let me know. All right. Thanks, everyone. And grab your camera, get off the couch, escape, explore, and create.